Hey guys, welcome back. It's Coeliac Teenager. Now today I'm going to be filming a video that you guys can show your friends who don't have a clue what celiac disease is, and this is a video that's hopefully going to help them understand what it is and what it involves so that they have a bit more knowledge on it. So from the NHS website, this is the definition of celiac disease. It says celiac disease is a condition where your immune system attacks your own tissues when you eat gluten. This damages your gut, which is your small intestine, so that you are unable to take in nutrients. Coeliac disease can be caused by a range of symptoms, including diarrhea or abdominal pain or bloating. So that is the definition from the NHS. Now, within celiac disease, there are 3 different compartments within the gluten category. One of them is wheat, barley, rye. They are the 3 things that us as celiacs cannot eat, which is under gluten. But some of the main things that you may find that very likely will have gluten in are as followed: bread, pasta, pizza, cakes, bakery products, biscuits, and a lot of different cereals as well. Obviously, they are the main kind of products that us as celiacs can't eat, but doesn't mean that we can't actually have bread, have pasta. We just have to buy a different type, which is gluten-free. And obviously gluten-free means that there is no gluten, there is no wheat, there is no barley, there is no rye within it. You can get some products which say wheat-free. That does not mean it's gluten-free, because wheat is only one part of celiac, one part of gluten. So you need to make sure that products say gluten-free, unless you have a wheat allergy, in which you'll be able to eat the wheat-free food. So when you're in the supermarkets, when you're in shops, you need to look for the bold. As you can see in this clip, I'm showing you an item that has bold. Now, the bold items are the main 14 allergies which are identified in product packaging. Now, companies are not allowed to say gluten anymore. I don't actually know the reason why they're not allowed to put that in bold, but they have to put cereals containing gluten. So if it says that, you can't eat it. Celiacs can't eat it. Now, make sure that you know whether the person is actually celiac or just has a gluten-free diet, because a lot of people do it as health benefits because it's good for them, but a lot of people don't have a choice and they are diagnosed with celiac, which means they can't have it because they will get ill and have the symptoms of maybe bloating, diarrhea, because they're eating gluten. Companies are putting it in bold so that it's easier for you to notice it when you're checking ingredients. It's really handy to look for that when you're checking ingredients these days. The only thing I'd also say is you need to watch out and definitely check all the other ingredients, because sometimes there's things called wheat starch, wheat flour, which are not put in bold. So you need to make sure you still check all the ingredients, but it does give you a little bit of an easier understanding if you look at things in bold first, because if it already says contains gluten, then you've already saved yourself a load of time. But do make sure you check every ingredient, because I definitely have made the mistake of not checking all the ingredients and realizing, oh, there actually is other types of gluten in it. Another one you need to watch for is wheat starch or starch. Sometimes they don't specify that it's actually wheat starch and it just says starch, so I would stay away from that as well. So barley malt extract is another thing within gluten, which is a little bit of a different one. So a lot of products contain barley malt extract, but actually us as celiacs can have a certain amount. We can have a certain amount of barley malt extract in products. So certain products that actually have it in that I'm allowed are Morrison's Cocoa Pops and Morrison's Rice Pops. It's usually found in cereals. Now, a lot of they'll say that it's just barley, and a lot of people just stay away from it. But if you go onto an app called Coeliac UK, which is the organisation for celiac, they have this scanner where you can check whether it is suitable or not. So you can check whether it's definitely gluten-free or it's not. So if you're not sure on how to check ingredients, definitely get the app, and it will be able to scan the barcode of products, which I'm showing you here, and tell you whether it's gluten-free or not. Some products even say gluten-free on the packaging, and they have barley malt extract in. That means that the amount of barley malt extract is low enough for celiacs to be able to have, if you have the right portion size. So to be exact, they have the cereals that you're allowed to have that have barley malt extract in contain 20 parts per million or less of barley malt extract, which means that it is safe for celiacs to have. There still are celiacs which are very unsure of this and don't trust it still. Personally, for me, I do. And I think if Coeliac UK have said it, then I think it's fine. But I understand, and you've got to make sure that the celiacs are definitely okay with having barley malt extract. Sometimes as well, you can't actually find out the information about how much barley malt extract is in a product. There's actually a few companies that don't share that information because they think they're giving away their secret ingredients and their measurements. So for those kind of products, just stay clear of them. Okay, so now we're on to the next section, which is about contamination, cross-contamination. So obviously contamination is where one thing mixes with another thing. Now within gluten-free, if you've got some gluten bread, you've got some gluten-free bread. If you put them anywhere near each other, you are contaminating, you are cross-contaminating. So you have to be really careful about this when you're preparing food for celiacs. First thing I'd say is different utensils, different trays, different chopping boards. Make sure you keep everything separate. What I do is I try and do it on a different counter so you definitely don't get any crumbs anywhere, and do use different knives. Make sure they're fully clean, everything is clean. A lot of people who actually are celiac have different colours for their utensils. So for me, as you can see in the clip, I have red utensils, which are my gluten-free stuff. So people know that is only for use if you're using something that is gluten-free and you are cooking something that is gluten-free. When you're cooking something, don't put something on the same baking tray that has gluten on it, because you are cross-contaminating. Even if you don't think they're going to touch, they might touch. And also you got to think, if you're putting something on a rack, say, I don't know, anything like bread, I'm trying to think of things you put in the oven without having to put a baking tray. If you've got a gluten-free thing underneath it and it falls in, you are cross-contaminating. All you need to do is keep it all separate. Make sure everything's clean and that you don't mix your hands. So if you're doing something with gluten, make sure you wash your hands thoroughly, then do the gluten-free thing. Try not to get mixed up. Another thing as well is toasters. You can't go and put gluten-free bread into a gluten toaster because all those crumbs are going to mix together. One thing you could do is either get your own separate toaster, which is what I have, but annoyingly my toaster was broken recently, so what I've had to do is buy toaster bags, which is what I'm showing you in the clip. Put these into the toaster and you're good to go. As long as you make sure you're careful, it should be okay. Make sure you also clean off the toaster bag, because obviously around the sides of the toaster bag, it will have the crumbs from the gluten. Next section I'm talking about is restaurants. When you go into restaurants, you need to make sure you firstly ask if there is a gluten-free menu. If there is one, you find obviously everything's fine on there. So once you order it, make sure that they know that you're celiac so they can make sure everything is separate for you. If you're with somebody that has celiac, make sure they explain or you explain to them about cross-contamination and that they can't have anything near each other. It needs to be prepared in a separate section of the kitchen. If a restaurant doesn't have a gluten-free menu, make sure you find out for the person who has celiac or whoever what is gluten-free on the menu and if they can make sure that it is separate. That is the key. Separation, cross-contamination, we don't want any of that. Also, when the food comes out, make sure you explain again, is this definitely been contaminated? Yes, the restaurant staff might find it annoying, but you want to make sure that you or your friend or whoever is safe and not going to get ill from it. Okay, last section is when you're abroad. The one thing I really advise is a translation card, which is here. For each country, you can get a translation card that explains what gluten is, about cross-contamination, so that people in restaurants that have a foreign language can understand and hopefully provide you with safe food. That is really important. Also, make sure you find out the words for celiac or gluten-free in other countries, because that's really important. So you can ask restaurants and say, is this sin gluten? So yeah, definitely make sure you do your research if you're going abroad. Find some gluten-free restaurants. There definitely is loads abroad and you'll be all good to go. So I hope this video was helpful. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you're new to understanding what celiac is, or you're a new celiac, it's kind of for both people, then I hope this was helpful. If you have any other questions, make sure you DM me on Instagram or leave a comment in the comment section down below. Make sure you like the video, subscribe, and oh yeah, also follow my Instagram. And yeah, I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.